The Thompsons were a New York City postcard, smiling faces squeezed in a tiny apartment overlooking Central Park. John, the optimistic architect, always sketching, always dreaming. Mary, his wife, the heart of a poet hidden behind a practical librarian's glasses. Little Lily, 8, all pigtails and sunshine, chasing pigeons with her laughter, and baby Ethan, his chubby fingers wrapped around Mary's finger, his eyes reflecting the city lights. They were a melody, their lives a harmony of city noises and whispered dreams. Their days were a blur of school runs, grocery shopping and bedtime stories. John worked tirelessly, his drawings slowly taking the shape of buildings. Mary, with quiet strength, held their world together, her gentle hum a constant in their lives. They were chasing the American dream, one paycheck, one school play, one laughter-filled evening at a time. They were happy, they were home. Then, it all went dark. It started like any other Saturday, the smell of pancakes, the rustle of the newspaper, Lily's cartoons echoing in the living room. John promised a trip to the zoo, his eyes twinkling with the secret he was yet to reveal, a new red wagon for Lily. Mary was preparing a picnic basket, humming a tune, while Ethan, nestled in his high chair, gurgled happily, his tiny hand reaching for a stray sunbeam. Dusk arrived, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. John took Lily to the park across the street, their laughter carrying on the breeze. Mary was washing dishes, Ethan asleep in his crib when the doorbell rang. A man in a delivery uniform stood outside, a package in hand. Before Mary could react, two figures emerged from the hallway, their faces hidden in the shadows. A struggle, a scream choked off, and then silence. The door slammed shut, leaving behind an eerie quiet. The city, oblivious, continued its symphony of noise. But the music in the Thompsons' apartment had died. The park echoed with the desperate cries of John Thompson. Lily's red wagon lay abandoned, a silent testament to the nightmare unfolding. The police arrived, sirens wailing, their questions piercing through John's fog of disbelief. A frantic search began, flyers with the Thompsons' smiling faces plastered on every lamppost, every shop window. Days bled into weeks, then months. The city that never sleeps seemed to have swallowed the Thompsons whole. The police, initially optimistic, grew increasingly frustrated. The investigation hit dead end after dead end. The leads, few and far between, led nowhere. The media frenzy died down, the story replaced by newer tragedies. John, his face etched with grief and exhaustion, refused to give up hope. He clung to the belief that his family was out there, somewhere, waiting to be found. But as time wore on, even his hope began to dwindle. The investigation had stalled. Detectives, their faces etched with fatigue and frustration, went over the same meager clues again and again. The white van, spotted by a witness near the Thompsons' apartment building, remained untraceable. Mr. Miller, their quiet, unassuming neighbor, claimed to have seen nothing unusual that evening. The case files, filled with dead-end leads and unanswered questions, gathered dust. The Thompsons, once the subject of news headlines and frantic searches, faded into a distant memory for most. Yet in the quiet corners of the city, their story lingered, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. The city that never sleeps had closed its eyes to the Thompsons' disappearance. 20 years, a wound that never healed. 2 decades passed. The city, ever evolving, barely remembered the Thompsons. John, his hair now streaked with silver, carried the weight of his loss like a stone in his chest. He had moved away, unable to bear the constant reminders in their tiny apartment. But the city held his memories captive, every corner whispering their names. He had learned to live with the gaping hole in his life, the silence deafening, the absence a constant ache. He clung to the hope, however faint, that one day, somehow, he would know what happened to his family. He yearned for closure, for justice, for a reason to stop blaming himself for stepping out that evening, but the answers remained elusive, lost in the labyrinthine alleys of time and the city's indifference. echoes in an empty warehouse. The old warehouse stood on the edge of the city, a hulking concrete skeleton against the urban sprawl. It was a place forgotten, shrouded in an eerie silence, its windows like vacant eyes staring out at the world. Inside, dust motes danced in the slivers of sunlight that pierced through the grimy windows, illuminating a scene frozen in time. Construction workers, their voices echoing in the cavernous space, stumbled upon a gruesome discovery. Hidden beneath the floorboards lay 4 skeletons, their bones arranged meticulously, almost ritualistically. A chill ran down their spines, the air thick with the weight of an unspeakable horror. The city, in its relentless march forward, had unearthed a ghost from its past. Section 7, Unmasking the Truth. Bones don't lie. The news spread like wildfire. The skeletal remains found in the abandoned warehouse were those of the Thompson family. Forensic experts meticulously pieced together the fragments of their story, the bones whispering secrets long buried, the cause of death blunt forced trauma, the brutality of the act etched onto their skeletal frames. John, his face a mask of shock and disbelief, received the news with a heart-wrenching stoicism. The confirmation, while bringing a semblance of closure, ripped open old wounds. The pain as raw as it was 20 years ago. He travelled back to the city, a ghost revisiting the scene of his life's greatest tragedy. The city, once a symbol of hope and dreams, now felt like a graveyard of memories. Section 8. The city mourns, a family shattered. The city that never sleeps paused, a collective gasp of horror and grief echoing through its concrete canyons. The Thompsons, once forgotten, were now a symbol of a tragedy that shook the city to its core. Newspapers ran headlines of the gruesome discovery, the details sending chills down the spines of its residents. The park where John and Lily spent their last moments together was adorned with flowers, candles, and handwritten notes, a testament to the city's collective grief. The community, once indifferent, now grappled with the knowledge that such darkness could reside in their midst. The Thompsons' story, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of loss, became a part of the city's fabric, a scar that would forever mar its landscape. Section 9. The Shadow of Mr. Miller. The investigation, dormant for 20 years, roared back to life. The warehouse, now a crime scene, was swarming with forensic teams, their every move scrutinized by a public hungry for answers. Suspicions fell on Mr. Miller, the quiet neighbor who had always maintained his innocence. He had vanished shortly after the Thompsons' disappearance, his whereabouts unknown. Some whispered that he had been an accomplice, his quiet demeanor a carefully constructed facade. Others believed he held the key to unraveling the mystery, a witness to the horrors that unfolded that fateful night. But Mr. Miller remained elusive, his absence fueling speculation and casting a long shadow over the case. He became the embodiment of the unknown, a chilling reminder that some questions may never be answered. Section 10. Unanswered questions, unending grief. The discovery of the Thompson family's remains brought a semblance of closure, but it also unearthed a wellspring of unanswered questions. Who were the perpetrators? What motivated this heinous act? And where was Mr. Miller? The one man who might hold the answers. The city once again was forced to confront the darkness that lurked beneath its vibrant surface. The Thompsons' story, a tragic tale of love, loss, and the enduring power of hope, became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in the heart of a bustling metropolis, evil could lurk in the shadows. And as the city moved on, the memory of the Thompsons lingered, their unanswered questions echoing through the years, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of grief.